Bayern Munich 1, Arsenal 0. Now, given the fact that the first leg between Bayern Munich and Arsenal at the Emirates ended as a 2-2 draw, that means that Bayern Munich get to go through to the Champions League semi-finals with an aggregate score of 3-2 against Arsenal. Now, when it comes to Arsenal, Arsenal. The same old foe for them. Bayern Munich, and again, this is a Bayern Munich side that's not even that great. But they've managed to knock Arsenal out of the Champions League yet again. It might not have been a 10-2 aggregate, it was 3-2, but they still managed to get the job done against Arsenal. Now, I'm gonna move the attention from Bayern Munich and try and focus solely on Arsenal here. Now, let me give you some stats when it comes to Mikel Arteta's reign at Arsenal. In his first season, I mean, he joined halfway through the season, but in his first season, either way, he managed to win the FA Cup with Arsenal, but finished 8th in the league. In his second season, he still finished 8th, but didn't win a trophy. Third season, Arsenal were in pole position to get 4th spot, which meant that they would qualify for Champions League for the following season, while Spurs were 5th. But somehow, Arsenal, towards the end of the season, Arsenal kept on dropping points, that it went to the final day of the season. And guess what happened on the final day of the season? Arsenal bottled it, which meant that both Arsenal and Spurs swapped places. Spurs then leapfrogged Arsenal, went to 4th place and qualified for Champions League football, while Arsenal dropped into 5th place and had to play Europa the following season. So that was his third season. I just mentioned third season, basically he bottled. First season, he won the FA Cup and finished 8th in the league. Second season, he finished 8th and won nothing. Third season, he bottled top 4 and still won no trophy. Fourth season, which was last season, Arsenal were top of the Premier League for 93% of the season. But guess what? Last 5-6 games of the league, Arsenal do what they do best. They capitulate and they bottle the Premier League title, allowing Man City to do the three-peat. So, fourth season, basically, he bottled the Premier League. And then now, we're currently on his 5th season with Arsenal. And guess what he's done? He's been knocked out already of the FA Cup, knocked out of the Carabao Cup. Tonight he was knocked out of the Champions League. And the only trophy that's basically left available to Arsenal is the Premier League. And based on what we saw during the weekend against Aston Villa, Arsenal don't have the minerals. They can't do it. They just can't bring themselves to get over the finish line. I mean, Liverpool lost their game against Crystal Palace at Anfield on is it Sunday? I think it's Sunday. And all Arsenal had to do was beat Aston Villa and go back top of the league. But guess what? They fumbled it. They lost. So now, as we speak, Arsenal are 2nd in the Premier League, and City are 1st with a 2-point gap. But basically, you're now asking Man City to bottle it somehow towards the last few games if you're hoping that Arsenal will win the league. And if I'm being honest, I want Arsenal to win the league for obvious reasons. I hate City, I hate Liverpool, but I just don't see it happening. Like, as a Man United fan, I don't want to see Liverpool win the Premier League or Man City win the Premier League. But guess what? Man United are so rubbish that we can't do anything about it. We're having to rely on our other rivals to do us a favor. So if you're asking me who I'd rather have win the league, is Arsenal. But based on their how do I put it? Their record, when it comes towards the end of the season, where the games matter most, the pressure gets too much for the Arsenal players and manager, and they just can't seem to handle it. I mean, like I said, I quickly rewind. First season, FA Cup, but then finished 8th in the league. Second season, finished 8th again, won nothing. Third season, bottled top 4, won nothing. Fourth season, 93% of the season, the top of the Premier League, but guess what? Bottled the league, no trophies won. Fifth season, He looks like they've already bottled the league again this season, on his 5th season, which means that's 4 seasons without a trophy for Mikel Arteta. Now, if you're asking me, I think some uncomfortable conversations need to be had about Mikel. Now, don't get me wrong, I've praised him this season. I've thought his team has looked solid. They scored the most goals in the Premier League, considered the least. I thought they've been brilliant. They've been aggressive. They've shown passion, hunger, desire, all that good stuff. But when it comes to the business end of the season, Arsenal always crumble. I mean, there's this thing whereby they say a team is Spursy because Spurs usually bottle games, big games and things like that. But I think we need to change it from Spursy to Arsey because Arsenal are the ones who keep on bottling. They just can't deal with the pressure. So, like I said, let's change it from Spursy to Arsey. But yeah, moving on from Arteta, I didn't watch the game between Bayern and Arsenal because obviously I was focusing on the bigger game, the Real Madrid versus Man City, which Real Madrid went through. Vamos Madrid. Anyways, yeah, the Arsenal game I didn't watch, but based on what I saw, the highlights, it looked like Bukayo Saka did nothing. I also checked online to see if maybe maybe the highlights didn't do him justice, but apparently Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, Kai Havertz, all of them went missing. They didn't really do much. So, yet again, it begs the question, do these guys have the minerals? Do they have the minerals? Do they have the bottle to keep it together? Because they always seem to fumble when it comes to the big games. But anyways, those are my thoughts on Arsenal's results. They're out of the Champions League. I didn't want them to win that. I want them to win the Premier League, but not the Champions League. So I'm happy they're out. And yeah, maybe now they get to focus solely on the Premier League. And you never know. Maybe this will be a blessing in disguise for them and they'll actually win the league. I don't think that's going to happen. But hey, one can hope, right? But yeah, those are my thoughts on Arsenal's game. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, all that good stuff. And I'll see you soon.